Do you like my beanie? Do you like it? Can you tell it's because my hair is dirty and I don't want to show it on camera? Because that's what's happening. Good afternoon. How are you today? Hope you're okay. My name is Eleanna. I'm a makeup artist here in Sydney and I'm here today to talk about makeup. Doi. If you're new here, hi. I'm new too. I've started a playlist on my channel called Back to Basics and I've only got one video in there, and today I wanted to add another one. So I'm going to talk about general hygiene and brush cleaning today. I'm going off of the assumption that there are some people that might not know how to wash their brushes effectively or affordably, so that's what I'm here for. Because before I was taught how to do it, I didn't know the proper ways to do it. I didn't know what not to do, how to keep my brushes and maintain them for as long as possible, and also that I didn't need to buy all of the most expensive products that are advertised as the best. With a little disclaimer, those products do work, so if you have them, you're not doing wrong by your brushes. It's just that they're not always available to everyone. So to wash my brushes, I use antibacterial hand wash. Now, you can also use things like baby body wash and baby shampoo and whatnot, but I'm just going to use the antibacterial hand wash. And if you're using these, try to avoid colors that are red, orange, blue, colors that will stain. Those colors will stain. And I have made that mistake in the past. So this method works on every single brush you have. It works on beauty blenders as well, but with the brushes, what you want to do is pump a small amount of the hand wash onto your hand, choose your brush and dampen it under the tap a little bit, and swirl it around on your hand. Make it foam up as much as you can. That will disinfect whatever product is on there. Make sure to do this until the water runs clear. Once the water runs clear, with thicker brushes especially, you might have to go in like with the water, rinsing it and continuing to swirl around in your hand. Until that water runs clear, the product is still in the brush. Brushes that aren't so fluffy, they still kind of lather up like that, and what you want to do is just the exact same thing. Make sure that the water is running clean, right? The smaller brushes, they're a little more difficult to lather up because they're so small, but the good thing with these ones is that there wouldn't be as much product as there would be on a bigger brush, right? So until the foam on your hand or until you notice it start to become clearer, that's when you know that it's ready. For the very, very, very thin brushes, I tend to get a little lazy. I have a lot of brushes and I work from thickest to thinnest. By the time I get here, I grab like 4 or 5 of them and I swirl them all in my hand all together, and then one by one, I individually, between my thumb and my index finger, I kind of rub those bristles clean manually because there's like 5 hairs on these brushes. They're not gonna, you know what I mean? And then you rinse them lightly the same way. These ones will wash quicker. They're the quickest to wash out. When setting your brushes to dry, try to not put them in a jar bristles up. What that does is kind of soaks the water into the handle of the brush along with any other bacteria that it might carry before it dries, because water, wet, moisture, bacteria, you know how it goes. So what you want to do is lay a clean, dry towel flat onto a surface and lay your brushes onto this towel, kind of separating them a little bit. With the thicker ones, I try to brush them dry a little bit before setting them to dry so they don't soak through the towel and then sit in a puddle of their own wet, you know what I mean? And I typically, because I do have quite a few brushes that I wash at a time, I will set them opposite to each other, so again, the water is distributed evenly, but far apart enough so it doesn't actually combine and connect into this big wet mess. You'll find with a lot of products, different consistency products wash differently. Your easiest are going to be your foundations, your concealers, your powders, and your water-based body paints. They're going to wash out like nobody's business. It's so easy because they are so either water-based or powder. It's your easiest thing to clean. Usually they're on the biggest brushes as well, so it's no problem at all. If you struggle with a color coming out, notice that color might be cream. So cream products take a little more concentration, they take a little more product and a couple more tries a lot of the time because you're trying to mix waters with oils, and I mean, I'm not here to teach you science, you know. So with those ones, maybe add a little extra of the soap or lather a little longer or do it a couple times over. Again, make sure that's clean and make sure that when you dry it or when you pat it on tissue even, that there is no remaining color on these brushes. At the end of the video, I'm going to talk about what extra stuff you can do after you've washed them if you feel like there's still product in there. Things like special effects products, if you've gotten latex, liquid latex, blood, wax products or whatnot in your brushes, these are the ones that are a bit more of a struggle. Blood, scab blood, fresh blood, all of that kind of stuff, it's water soluble, so you're not even going to really need soap to wash that out. Do it anyway because antibacterial, you're cleaning out the germs, blah blah blah, but because it is water soluble, you'll just wet it, you'll see it run, and when you see that it's run sufficiently clear, then go in with the antibacterial soap and kind of do it that way again. Set it down to dry, move on to the next one. If your brush has latex in it, forget about it. It's damaged. You can't get that out. That is non-soluble, not even with alcohol. So sorry about that. Throw that brush out. Avoid using brushes when you're using liquid latex. Try and using things like disposable sponges or stippling sponges and whatnot. It's going to save your life, honestly. With things like wax-based products, a lot of the time, if it's on a fluffier brush, I would say get rid of it. You're not going to get it out. But a lot of the time, if it's on a thinner brush, like a finer brush, you could kind of soak it in isopropyl alcohol. Depending on how much product is in the brush and how thick the brush is, it might not even be worth keeping if it's a very, very thin brush. But you can go ahead and try and soak it in isopropyl alcohol, the 99% one. Maybe break that down a bit before you try to wash it. More often than not, though, it probably won't clean out. And if it does clean out, it might dry clumpy. So the brush will be clean, but it'll be difficult to use for what you want to use it for. Now, if you're considering freelance work or you're on the job and you're working and whatnot and you need to clean your brushes between clients, isopropyl alcohol, the 70% one, is your best bet. Because even if you carry a little fan or have a hairdryer on you, it's probably not the best idea to be washing them that way when you have clients or if you're using your brushes on multiple people a day. In this case, I would suggest the 70% isopropyl alcohol only because 99% evaporates really quickly. And you're going to be using a lot of it to quickly try and rub off whatever product you have on that brush. I don't have 70% alcohol, so I can't show you that slower process, but you use less product. It lasts a little longer onto the brush. It gives it a second to break down, and then you can wipe it off and move on. The 99% we use for stuff like I mentioned earlier, like the wax stuff, the stuff that's a little harder to get off, the stuff that needs a little more soaking time. That doesn't mean that it's not going to work. It just means that the 70% might be more practical. You don't use as much of it, and it probably doesn't smell as bad. But that one's completely up to you because they do both work. Another thing you can use is baking soda or vinegar. But the issue that I find with this method is you fill up your jar with vinegar, baking soda, warm water and whatnot, and you let them soak and it fizzes up and it does all of that stuff. After you do that method, if you do that method quite a few times, you'll notice that the brush hairs start to fall off the brush. They'll start molting. It's happened to a couple of my brushes. You'll be using them and then hairs will fall out. They get in your eye. They get everywhere. You've got a deteriorating brush, you know? That's the only thing I found with that, like the only issue that I found with that method. It is definitely a less tedious, time-consuming method. But listen, I'm one of the laziest people that I know, and I'll take the time out to wash my brushes the slow way because I know it's efficient, it definitely works, it's less damaging to the brushes, and they smell nice as an added bonus. And I'm lazy with stuff like this, which is why I have a lot of brushes to get through tonight, but that's just my preference. That's what I would recommend. Plus, if you're doing it manually as well, you can get everything out in your hands. It's all in your hands. You can see it. You're not waiting for some other product to kind of do it when you're not looking. You're not swishing it around in built up germs and bacteria from other products. It's the most efficient way that I have found. You can go and buy, listen, Sephora, Mecca, Ulta, they all have different products. Every brand has their own version of a brush cleaner, their own version of a spray or a beauty blender, beauty sponge cleaner. These products work, okay? They work. The little gels, the soaking, everything works. It's just that you don't necessarily need them. You don't need the mat that you scrub your brush on because your hand is just as fine. If you find your brushes need a deep cleaning, then absolutely, like go for it, go for your life. But it's not necessary. You don't need to spend all that money to get some brushes clean. Hand wash, you probably have some. Just make sure to avoid, like I said, those big colors, reds, blues. I don't know if purple would count. I've never used a purple hand wash. I kind of was scarred after the blue one. Never again. A safe bet is those milky ones. If you have like a yellowy one that's milky, those ones don't stain. And yeah, I don't wash my brushes every week. I know that I should, but I wash my beauty sponge maybe every week, maybe every 2 weeks, but with my brushes, I leave them a little longer. It's probably not the most hygienic, but if I find that they're getting a little dirty, I'll switch to a brush from a different tin that I have, and I'll just collectively wash my brushes like I am today, and it's easy done. Anything else? With the bigger brushes as well, make sure to reshape them before you let them dry, or else they'll dry in a very kind of crazy way. And they'll be kind of difficult to use because they've dried in a certain way. I tend to shape mine, fluff them up a little, and let them dry that way. If you want them to dry quicker, I usually leave mine overnight. And if I don't have to use them first thing the next day, like I leave them overnight and everything's all good, they're all dry. If you're washing them in the morning and need them dry by the night, I guess you could use a hairdryer on like a warm setting, not a too hot setting. Again, you don't want to damage anything. You don't want to heat damage to it. It's still like brushes, even if they're synthetic. With the little ones, it might be a little harder because, again, they've got like 4 hairs. Sometimes I do use isopropyl alcohol or a brush cleaner to just quickly wash whatever color is on that brush because I'm trying to use a lighter color or a different color. That's usually when I'm more on the go or I'm just practicing and playing with makeup. But in these instances, when you want to just deep clean all your brushes, it's so inexpensive, it's such a good method, and it's efficient. And everyone can do it. It's very affordable. It was like $2. I bought this like yesterday because I didn't have one. Easy. And that's pretty much it. I hope that I was able to teach you something you didn't know today or give you any kind of information that was useful. Enjoy the rest of your day and clean your brushes. Don't be gross. Bye. Yep, that's cold. 6 motorbikes just went past, and then a truck. And they're not done. It stopped raining and everyone's out to play. Forgot what I was saying.